Ridley Scott's production company, Scott-Free Productions, has announced its desire to adapt more of the legendary director's movies into television shows in the future. Through Scott-Free, Ridley Scott has been working as an executive producer for 2 upcoming adaptations of some of Scott's best films. Those shows, Alien, Earth and Blade Runner 2099, however, may be just the first. Per Variety, Scott-Free Chief Creative Officer David W. Zucker said the production company was going to look at adapting other movies made by Ridley and Tony Scott. Zucker said that the TV landscape has changed enough, in terms of budgets and scope, that adapting larger-than-life movies into shows according to Scott-Free's vision is finally viable. Zucker also explained that Alien, Earth showrunner's previous experience adapting Fargo to TV helped make the decision to go ahead with the Alien prequel easier. He also noted that figuring out various licensing and distribution rights are difficult. However, Zucker's final comments imply that Scott-Free could soon be announcing another upcoming TV adaptation. What the possible upcoming Ridley Scott TV adaptations mean for Scott-Free. It's not clear what Ridley Scott movie could be turned into a TV show next. While Scott-Free's intentions to adapt another Ridley Scott feature are clear, it's not clear which movie they'd turn into a show next. Both Alien and Blade Runner are already getting the TV treatment, and the Scott's other franchises either don't have the same popularity or don't have the same potential to be expanded. Thelma and Louise, for example, doesn't have much expansion potential, nor does Tony Scott's True Romance. Other, potentially more viable intellectual properties started by the Scott brothers, also have their own problems. Several have already been revisited in recent years, and a TV adaptation wouldn't have much room to expand the story. Gladiator, for example, just got a sequel last year, and Top Gun got a sequel in 2022. It's not clear what, if anything, Scott-Free is going to adapt to television. Despite the uncertainty of subject material, Scott-Free's plans to adapt popular movies into TV shows is probably a smart move. As Zucker noted, intellectual property is the biggest business in Hollywood today, and Scott-Free could probably be very successful in capitalizing on Ridley and Tony Scott's iconic films. If it does prove successful, there may be several TV adaptations in the coming years. Our take on Scott-Free's search for its next TV adaptation. Adapting movies into TV is always uncertain, but Scott-Free seems like the right production company to do it. I have mixed feelings about Scott-Free's plans to adapt more of Ridley and Tony Scott's movies into television shows. On the one hand, the lack of originality is a real problem in Hollywood, and I'd prefer to see Scott-Free put its weight behind new movies and shows. Ridley Scott is a visionary with a lot of great ideas, and it seems a shame to put them to use on established IP. There's also the ever-present problem all movie-to-TV adaptations face. Some movies simply don't translate well to television, and trying to make a worthwhile adaptation is always difficult. Luckily, both Alien, Earth and Blade Runner 2099 should serve as a kind of litmus test to see if Scott-Free can overcome that hurdle. On the other hand, if any production company were to take a crack at adapting the Scott brothers' works, I'd want it to be Scott-Free. David Zucker put a lot of focus on his desire to add something meaningful to whatever the company's next project is. Ridley Scott's involvement should also help keep Scott-Free's next show from being a simple cash grab.